Hello, all you ghouls and goblins of the world, and welcome to Chapter 9 of Killer Cuts here at our local establishment. I am Bobby Munson, and right with me, my partner in crime on this venture, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing today?
It's been an exhausting day, but this is one of my motivations for today because I knew that was going to happen after work.
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to this. We had this one watched and ready to go for about a week and a half's time now. We've been talking back and forth on this one. Been looking forward to talking about It's a Wonderful Knife, which is the movie we're going to be reviewing here today. Just as you can see on that ticker down below, we are pre-recorded here. This will be released after we've recorded. So if you want to make a comment, please feel free to do so. We will be checking those. We will get back to you in a timely manner, and we want to hear your thoughts on It's a Wonderful Knife, and we're going to get into that real soon. I just want to give one quick shout out though here, Astrid, because I don't know if I would have known about this movie immediately had it not been for somebody on my X timeline. I'm going to give a shout out to Oh Hey It's Chase, who's somebody that I follow, big horror fan over there, that had mentioned about this movie, which made me go check out the trailer, and then I immediately reached out to you with this one. Thought perfect. This fits right in with the whole slasher films that we love to review here on the channel.
Yeah, I'm glad we definitely found it. I thought it was one of those that was going to be released in theaters soon, so I was not ready to see it anytime soon. And then when I see, it's Shudder, I was like, great, one of the few times I'm happy I got Shudder.
That's right. Yeah. So anybody who hasn't seen it yet, go get Shudder. Shudder does not cost a whole lot of money per month. It is one of the most inexpensive film apps that you can get around. So go support Shudder and check out all the wonderful content they have. And like one of the features I love about Shudder is that they have those 3 channels that are live, and they just play different movies there. My wife and I sometimes when we're bored, we'll find ourselves just flipping over to one of those channels like, oh, we don't know what this is. Let's watch it anyway. And some real gems that we've come across that we might not have decided to watch otherwise, but thanks to Shudder and the low price that they offer, it's wonderful. Yeah, so it's a good buy. But It's a Wonderful Knife, just to get people a little bit into this, is kind of a horror comedy homage in a way to the original Christmas classic It's a Wonderful Life from 1946 that starred Jimmy Stewart. This one, however, starring the likes of Justin Long, Jane Widdop, Joel McHale, Catherine Isabel, William B. Davis, the list goes on. This one a little bit different in a sense because now we add the horror element to It's a Wonderful Life. So anybody who's familiar with the Christmas classic, George wishes that he had never been born and gets the opportunity to see what life had been had he never existed. And in this movie, kind of a similar situation. We're left with a standard start of a slasher film right off the hop here. And chaos breaks out immediately. Like you feel like in that first opening sequence that you're watching the ending sequence to most slasher films immediately. And then all of a sudden the opening credits roll, you realize, oh, I'm only about 3 minutes into this thing. We already know who the killer is. What do they got for me to spice this thing up? And just a little warning, this is a spoiler heavy review here today. So we are going to talk about it. And you do find out right away, Justin Long is behind this, the mayor of the town that's been trying to buy up the town, change it for what it's worth. And he is going there to try to take out everybody that he can that is interfering with his plans to be, top dog around the town of Angels Falls. So where would it go from here? Well, 1 year later, we find out the repercussions of our lead character killing off Justin Long and doing so. Everybody in the town seems happy, chipper, everything's good. You'd almost expect them to break out into the song Everything is Awesome from the Lego movie. All of a sudden, they're so incredibly happy, all except for our lead heroine here. And she's bothered by this. She wants to talk about it. She still is feeling the repercussions for having killed someone, whether that person was a killer or not. People are like, they feel relieved from this whole situation. And so she often wonders what it would be like had she not been born and not been able to kill the killer. And she will get that opportunity to find out. So talk a little bit about your thoughts as this one opened here, Astrid, before we get into when she changes timelines.
I feel like it was not only that, but even you mentioning, I know we're being nice by mentioning as a spoiler, but even the trailer tells you who the killer is before we play the movie. I remember when I sent it to you, you said, wait, they reveal it right away. And I said, oh, I yelled at you. They really did, which is very surprising. But at the same time, I like that even though we know who the killer is, we don't know the in-between about it, which still makes it interesting. And thinking about here, the character, like what when he goes through, and I kept thinking about it from like putting myself in her shoes. And it's like, I will be the same thing. It's like, I wouldn't be able to get over not only killing somebody by losing, my friends in only a year. That wouldn't be enough for me. So that made it more realistic in that aspect of it when you think about like her grieving still and then feeling terrible at the same time of killing him. But it's just like the first couple of minutes I was like, what is this? It's just chaos to begin with already. Like, how does that happen? But not only that, but just I would add her to my category of one of my favorite final girls, because Winnie was definitely smart from the get-go, and I really love seeing that. She reminds me a lot of Sydney, a lot of the final girl from Terrifier, and what was one of the last ones that we talked about as well, Thanksgiving. That's the other one. So I would put her in that category for me, one of those like smart final girls, because she does her best in the situation that she's in. She finds like, what can I do to kill him in that moment right there and there, and just like so. And then everybody made a scream for of the electrocution part at the end as well. There, the way she kills him to begin with. But I like how she's smart enough that she's like, let me use what I can find here, even at that moment of chaos that she has there. She's able to think through and find a way to help herself and help the people, the rest of the people at the party, for them to survive here, just in the opening scene in there.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned about the Scream reference as well too, but you mentioned this when we were off screen, and I wanted to allow you to bring that up as one of the characters' names. Sounds like maybe an homage to somebody in Scream as well too.
Yeah, I think I don't remember if that's her on or not based on the picture, but one of them, ironically, I'm looking at the cast so I can discuss them with you here, and I noticed that one of them, her character name is Gail Prescott as it is. So I thought it was pretty funny getting that. It was like I didn't notice that. I knew her name was Gail, but I knew it was Gail Prescott. But that's ironic seeing it. It's like that. I like that Easter egg. Good job with that too.
Oh, fantastic. Before we go deeper into the movie, I want to talk about this costume. The angel costume of this character, personally, I think is an amazing touch. I love this costume. It's creepy enough as it is, but then you add the aspect that this is kind of got that all white texture to it. So any of the death scenes when that blood is splattering, it looks that much more graphic. And I found that that was one of the key factors here, was that you get that extra depth with having that kind of color pastel that goes onto film and everything like that. It stands out so much more. So personally, I'm a huge fan of the angel costume.
I think not only that, but if we think about not only the part of the blood, like you mentioned, but thinking of like the scenes, because within the town, we're in Christmas time, holiday time. There's a lot of snow, so like you can probably feel like the part, like the killer's part of the scenery as well here. And I think that also makes it feel like it did with Thanksgiving as well, going with like not only the holiday but the setting as well. And I really like that about it, because often we see they either wear like gray or maybe blacks. They're always like darker colors. And it feels odd in the sense of having a killer wearing such a bright color, because not only that, but you think of an angel when you think of white. So thinking of like an angel, but it's not an angel. It's definitely a killer, which is the total opposite of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's very ironic as well.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous angel, not one you want to cross anyway anytime too soon. But talking about Winnie's transition over to the next timeline. So she finds out she was never born, and the reveals get quite heavy in this one. She finds out that her brother, who she had saved and survived previously, didn't survive in this timeline because she was not there to save him. Her parents have no idea who she is. Her mom has completely checked out and is seeing other guys right in front of her own dad. Absolute chaos. And I think it's the aunt, I believe, that she can convince that she is from another timeline, because she's able to say something that only the family would have known. So there's no way that she should have that information. So the aunt clues into this and starts to work with her. And same with the hold on, I'm blanking on the character's name, but the one she befriends Bernie, I believe Bernie was the one that she becomes close friends with, who was kind of rejected by her and others during her other timeline. And in here, she's forced to get to know Bernie on a deeper level. And they find out that they're absolute soulmates in this whole thing, and that they always were supposed to be soulmates, which becomes another intriguing portion of the story that intertwines. But it seems like everybody in the town has fallen apart. Everybody is on drugs. It has become a town that is broken down, poor, and almost zombified in some ways as well too. People are brainwashed into believing everything that the mayor, now the guy who's in total control, and we're talking about the killer, Justin Long himself, and all of this, they've become under a spell. He's got them wrapped around their fingers, and nobody seems to have a true thought of their own anymore in this timeline.
Yeah, what I like about it more than anything in that timeline is that it almost feels like they went through character by character and what how would this character be affected by her not being in their lives. So it's like we get the her best friend and the boyfriend that they're actually together, and she finds out that they're actually been in love this whole time, that she's been in a relationship with him. Like you said, thinking about the brother and then the parents, and then the dad is mostly friends with Justin Long in the movie because of that as well. The mom having a side piece, and then the substance abuse obviously with trigger warnings for that. And is I like how we're able to see aspects for every single character and not having her in their lives, and how it affects in that timeline there too. It reminded me a little bit of Happy Death Day too, in that aspect with the timelines here and that back and forth here, and totally killer as well with the timeline aspect of it. But I do like having that moment of like everybody is affected by it somehow, and we're able to see that from her point of view. And like you said, thinking back, I like how the aunt is the only one that actually believed her out of anybody. Like right away, she didn't really doubt it and just kept rolling with it. I was like, what if this girl's just like stranger? You just let her into your house like this, like nothing. But still, she was able to, once she had that connection, she was able to make it, and it helps her in that moment as well too. But it's just nice to see that they didn't miss any points when it came to the characters and how they changed because of the timeline.
Yeah, they did a lot of in-depth storytelling here. And again, with the whole idea that we know who the killer was, I kind of felt to myself, they gonna do something to us. There's gonna be more to the depth to this storyline than what is on the surface. And that's what ended up happening, because in this version, with her not being around and not able to stop him, Justin Long isn't the full on 100% killer of everybody, because the angel has continued to kill for time after time following the original attacks. Justin Long responsible for the original attacks, but now it's Winnie's father who's involved. He has been convinced that he has to do this. He's at the mercy of the mayor, of the town and everything like that. So broken by the death of his own son that he's going and acting out these attacks now himself. So he now becomes a secondary killer reveal within this whole thing. So I'm like, okay, nice little play on this, nice reveal. I like that touch. And again, at the end, when we're finding out that Justin Long's got all these people brainwashed and under his spell, and that they've got to set things right in order to be able to go back to the Aurora Borealis and wish to go back to the original timeline. I thought this was all beautifully played out. The whole thing straight through to the end, and including the deep connection that Bernie and Winnie make, to the point where when they do go back, Bernie goes back essentially with her and remembers everything from that adventure in that timeline. And so then the two of them end up finding out that they were soulmates and they're a connection, and they fall in love with each other, which is absolutely a beautiful touch to this whole movie. This movie, in my eyes, it's an A+. I really liked everything about this. This was far beyond what it should have been for a movie titled It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, like you said, that part of the storytelling is what I like the most about it, because we're able to see how everything feels so like wrapped up and nicely in a bow by the time it's done. Like you don't think that that's gonna happen, but it actually happens. So I was like, wait, I like that a lot, because I feel like often we get some kind of questions at the end of the movies, and then we never know if you're gonna get a sequel to answer those questions, and then the sequel gives you more questions later. But I like how this one, with the sequel part of it, if you think about it, they still wrapped everything so well with such a bow that I was like, chef's kiss. I like how they solved every single problem before the movie was over. And one thing I would say too, Justin Long's teeth, they bother the hell out of me. I was creeped out by those teeth. If you are like me and you grew up watching Spectre Gadgets, what the fake one with the teeth, that's what it reminded me of. I couldn't stop thinking about it through this whole movie. I hated it. It's like I cannot deal with the teeth. That's the only part I had to say because it just bothered me.
And as I'm watching this too, I'm thinking to myself, Justin Long has really contributed a fair amount to the horror genre. Like, I mean, it's, to have originally been known for Jeepers Creepers, and then all these years later, we get Barbarian, which again is another one we should talk about at another time. Love that movie. And then this as well too. I like Justin Long a hell of a lot. I really think Justin Long is a fantastic actor. He is so much fun. I see him on screen and I'm like, there's a guy I want to watch because he just seems like a genuinely good guy. He's always got that bright smile, although creepy as hell in this one, like you said. But there's a magnetism that Justin Long brings to the screen, and you can see it in here. I also thought Joel McHale, for someone who, known for comedy, while this was a comedy horror, did a great job at the darker portions of this picture as well too, which kind of showed a little bit of acting chops on the part of who's normally known as a stand-up comedian or sitcom comedy type guy.
Yeah, when I think of Joe McHale, I think of The Soup, and I think rest in peace too. So when I see him here, I first I feel like I couldn't take him seriously because I kept thinking of The Soup, and then the more we went into it, like we revealed him as a second killer, I was like, I can get on board with this. Keep going. So I really enjoyed how that happened because what I thought about it with this sort of aspect of kind of like the Flash, and we think of the timelines and MCU and things like that. It's like when one thing changes, it causes so many other consequences to it. And that's how I thought about this movie. It's like she didn't get to kill Justin Long in this timeline and he's alive. So he's not the killer. So somebody else will be that killer and she has to still solve it. So that's why I like the part of, even though when we know who the killer is, we still get another killer. So I like that, that it's, it changes the timeline because of her decision of not only not killing Justin Love, but actually not being born either. So it shows you how it has consequences for everything, whether it's good or bad.
And now, in saying that too, you talk about that ripple effect that can be caused by changing the timeline. Essentially, the timeline has shifted again because in the previous timeline, her and Bernie didn't have this connection. They come back together. They now have this connection. So could that have a ripple effect cause to make another storyline occur? Could something else have come back along with them from the previous timeline? Is everything as wrapped up as it seems? I think that the way they left this is done so perfectly well that at any point in time, somebody with some clever writing ability could sit down and create a perfect sequel to It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw an announcement for it or not, but I feel like it definitely, I feel like the movie came out of nowhere for me because like I said, I hadn't seen it before. But I see the trailer everywhere and it's trending on Twitter and it says, oh, Shudder has it. And I was like, oh, okay, I have Shudder, so that actually does help. But thinking of how quickly the buzz came, because I hadn't seen anything from this movie, and all of a sudden I see it in social medias on different platforms, and I see the trailers and everything, and it just made me think of they could easily do another one as well, not only with the same cast but maybe with somebody else too, and make it a whole different story but in similar aspect to this as well. And I was like, I could see that happening too.
Yeah, I really hope they do because, again, there's been some awesome slashers this year and an opportunity for just these franchises to be created. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get more of these regular slashers, especially holiday ones. I love holiday slashers. And I know there's some other ones out there that come around the Christmas time. I mean, Silent Night, Deadly Night, for example, Black Christmas, things like that. All do exist, but this one I think is even more rewatchable than some of those. Although Silent Night, Deadly Night's a personal favorite, especially the original, as bad as it is. But I do love It's a Wonderful Life. It gets a huge A+ from me. I will watch it again. I'll watch it again when it's not Christmas. That's how much I love this one. Yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm glad that now I don't have to look forward to just October and Halloween season for the horror movies. We got the Halloween movies and then we got Thanksgiving and now we have It's a Wonderful Life. So it's give me all these horror movies around holidays. I wouldn't mind it because it makes me look forward more to the holidays too. And it's something that came out of nowhere, like I said, for this one for me. But it still is one of those that I watched and I was like, that was pretty good actually. I might watch it again just to see how it goes. But and even they already announced that Thanksgiving's already thinking of doing a sequel. So I was like, yeah, keep it going. And I'm like, it worked out and people are enjoying the movie. So might as well keep it going. So I was like, I wouldn't mind having anything that's aside from Halloween-ish kind of season. We always get our horror movies between September and October, and I like feel like it dies down a little bit after that. So it's nice to be able to get something that it's not related around that time frame too.
That's right. Keep them ramping up because us horror fans never give up on horror movies. Doesn't matter what month it is. We love our horror. So that's about all I've got for It's a Wonderful Knife. Again, huge pass. I recommend it to anybody. Anything else you wanted to add there, Astrid?
No, I recommend it. Like you said, if you haven't yet get Shudder, it's really cheap still, and they have some movies that they're still like it's kind of like the Netflix or horror movies to think about it like that. They have some oldies but goodies, and we have something like this as a newer thing, but still it's nice to be able to watch it later again.
Yeah, they've got some good originals on there. I highly recommend, and this one being one of them. So from there, I'm going to say, well, you let the people know where they can find you and reach out to you.
You can find me mostly on my Twitter and Blue Sky as Astrid Pizarro, and then Instagram and Threads Astrid Pizarro 20. Other than that, everything else is on my YouTube channel as it is there, Astrid Pizarro as well.
Wonderful. There's my ticker down below. You can find me on the different social medias, X, Instagram, Threads, TikToks, all those kind of things. Well, OLE's on TikTok anyway. That's where you'll find me. And of course, there's the OLE stuff. That's where you want to truly follow us. That's where you're going to find us on all the different social media, as well as Twitch and YouTube, where we appreciate all the likes, follows, and subscribes. And remember, leave us a comment in the comment section below. Astrid and I are very active in the chat channels. We will check that out. We will get back to you. We love discussing with like-minded horror fans all about horror stuff. So for myself, and from the natural Astrid Pizarro, thank you for tuning in to another chapter of Killer Cuts, and we'll see you again very